Hey everybody. I thought I'd get one more, do the next recording while everything's still fresh in my head. But welcome to Comfortable Hell, number 8 of the series of God knows how many. But I left talking about about financial abuse and the sexual abuse that I was starting to receive in my relationship or go through. And one thing that I wanted to say was like everything else appeared normal, so we were saving money, paying off debt, going out, and it looked normal to anyone. I never would speak of anything that was actually going on, or, the absolute, like, what's it called? I don't know. I'm trying to find the right words of how I was just giving myself away. Like everything that was me was just anything that was left was just being ripped away. And, like I said, I wasn't talking to any friends for sure. And this was the first, I would say this was probably year 2 I'm describing right now. And like I said, saving money, we want to and eventually buy a house. We're, paying off bills, whatever. But everything else seemed very normal, except, when I would have to go to bed, that was a nightmare. But another thing also was like, we would take trips. We always did stuff. So we did a lot of things as far as like, hiked, and we like to go, on trips and drink bourbon or, wine or whatever. And, but one thing that would happen also on trips, like there was always an excuse to have sex. So like, like a holiday or, you know what I mean? Not only was I being pressured to have sex every night, but when there was a special occasion of sorts, that would be like another excuse. So if we would go on a little weekend trip, it's like, well, we're on a trip. We're staying in a hotel, so this is what we do. There was always a reason why we had to have sex. And, we'd be driving, like say we drove to, I don't know, Columbus or something. So, we leave work, drive all the way there, and I was tired, and he would say, well, we have to have sex when we get there. We have to have sex before we go out. Like, I don't feel like I just want to go eat dinner. I'm hungry. And it would be a bitch session of how this is what he wants, and this is a vacation, and this is what you're supposed to do on vacation. And I need you before we go out. And so, just to shut him up, just to shut him the fuck up, I would do it. But I remember, this one trip, I was going through this premenopause stage, and like my period was so bad. And I remember driving down there and I'm like, oh my God, I need to get to the hotel. And it was like, well, we need to have, I understand you can't, but then you need to, please me. There's still other ways, or we can do it in the shower, or it didn't even matter how I felt. I felt so gross and tired, and anyone who's gone through that, like bloated and just sick. And it was like, it didn't matter. It didn't matter. So when I'd be sick, we'd get to the hotel and I'd just be bleeding all over the place, whatever. And it would never be like, let me take care of you. So I would just do whatever he wanted me to do, because the alternative was me getting bitched at when I didn't feel good. At least I could just do it and just get it over with. But then I would get bitched at for that, like, you don't want me enough. You don't desire me enough. You're not showing me, it's just a fucking clusterfuck. And so I would go through this on, vacations, or it would be, I don't know. There was always an excuse where I had to do it, and, hold on. There was like one other thing. Oh, sorry. I made some notes. So also during this time frame when we were living in this temporary situation, I had to be at work by 9, and he always went into work. Like before we lived together, like he would go into work at 8 or whatever. Um, he miraculously started going into work at 9. And I'm not sure why, but I mean, I'm not sure how he got away with that or whatever, but I'm like, why are you going in at 9? And the minute, I mean, I would leave and he would leave with me, not, like 8:30 or whatever. And he would literally follow behind me until he couldn't follow behind me anymore. And now I'm on my way to work. And I don't know if he really, maybe he followed me more. I don't know. I don't know. He's a sick fuck. But like, I allowed this to happen every single day that we lived there. He left at exactly the same time I left and followed me till and sometimes I would just want to turn the other way and just floor it and see if he would follow me. But so we'd get in our cars and he'd be following me and he would call me and we would have to talk all the way to work. And I was like, I just want to listen to music. I just want my fucking sanity. And he would be like, I need to talk to you on the way to work. It makes me feel better. I know you got there safe. Some absolute bullshit. And so we would have to talk. I would get bitched at if we didn't. So we would talk all the way there. During my lunch, he would have to talk to me the entire time when I'd be like, I just want to go on the treadmill. And he'd be like, this is my time to talk to you. And I need to talk to you. I don't understand what's wrong with that. What are you hiding? Why wouldn't you want to talk to me? So that would happen. And then the minute I got in my car after work, I would have to call him and talk to him all the way home. Mind you, my alternative was being bitched at and being scolded and yelled at, and told that these are the things that make him feel good. Don't I want him to feel good? These are the things, that were going on while, in our second year of the relationship. Also, I remember having a work function. It was literally like we had some people coming into town and I was asked to join them for dinner. And so I told him and he was like, you could tell whenever I said something that you could tell immediately it would go through this filter of him and how he was going to feel. And he would just sit there and he'd go, well, I'm invited, right? No, it's just for people for work. Why wouldn't you invite me? Because it's just work people. I would invite you if it was for my work. No, Robert, I can't. Why don't you talk to your boss and see if I can go? Because I don't understand why you don't want me there. I didn't say I didn't want you there. I said, I can't. It's not a function for anyone outside. No one else is bringing anyone. I would bring you. I would fight for you to be there. I don't understand why you're not fighting for me. You need to ask. And I'm literally like in tears because I can't. There's nothing I can say. There's nothing I can say. I just keep telling him that I can't. It's not a function for significant others. It's literally a dinner. I'm going 10 minutes from the fucking house to a dinner. You know how this makes me feel. I'm very uncomfortable and you're not trying to help me. I don't understand why you don't want me there. So we finally get over that hump that he can't come but of course he told me a million, times that he's very uncomfortable. He doesn't understand why I don't want him there. It's like selfish of me to not want him there. So then I finally, we're working up 3 weeks to the dinner not even dinner. It's dinner that I'm not allowed to go to. And he's like, you need to text me while you're there and tell me what's going on. And he would always make a plan with a friend or something to go somewhere where I'm at. And then he'd be like, you need to come there afterwards, right after. In this movie, Alice Darling that I watched, the girl who was, she was psychologically abused. She got a chance to go out with her friends and she went into the bathroom and took pictures of like her chest and had to send them to her boyfriend. And I'm like, oh my God, like in order for him to be comfortable, now he never asked me to do that particularly, but I know he definitely would have if he thought of it. But this is the shit that I was going through. I couldn't. Now, if I ever planned anything with my friends during this time, I mean, this went on my entire relationship, but I would be like, I'm just going with my friends. He'd be like, I don't understand why you don't want me there. What are you trying to hide? And so I stopped asking my friends to go out. And whenever my friends would ask me, I would get this sick feeling in my stomach and I would just bring him. And I talked to my friends later on and I'm like, do you notice he was always there? Always. It was always all the girls and him because I couldn't go by myself. And it was very selfish of me to do anything by myself. I mean, during this time, I remember like for lunch, I was like, I have to go shopping. Like I'm going shopping. And I would bring like an ear thing and I would have to have him talk to him while I was doing it. And sometimes he would show up in the parking lot. And I'd be like, what are you doing here? And he'd go, you're not happy to see me? I don't understand. I'm happy to see you. Oh, God. And so mind you, I've already given up my savings. Like everything's intermingled with him. I don't even have my own credit card. Now, if you asked him, he'd go, well, you had no credit. So you couldn't even get a credit card if you wanted to. So that's how fucked up our system is. I had a 0 credit score because I had 0 debt. So ask Dave Ramsey and he would tell you a good credit score just means that you're good at using other people's money, right? You're good at taking money out, borrowing money. And, I had a good job. I was making a good salary and I had 0 debt and money in the bank, and I had a 0 credit score. So he's right. I couldn't get a credit card at that time. So we had to add me to the credit card. I didn't have my own checking account. I didn't have my own credit card. I had nothing of my own. The only thing I had was a joint account, a joint checking account with him and a joint credit card with him. So obviously I couldn't do anything outside. There wasn't anything. I couldn't even buy him a gift without him knowing, right? I couldn't do anything. And he had other accounts. Now he'll tell you, I showed her every single thing. We talk about finances. I didn't hide anything. Bullshit. Just like you didn't hide anything from your ex-wife. Ding. Yeah, so that's another story. But anyway, so these are all the things that I let go on as I got further and further away from who I am. So I had no financial autonomy. I had no more, I couldn't, have a conversation with a friend without him going, what did you guys talk about? Dude, we just had I was just talking to my girlfriend. I don't understand why you wouldn't tell me. I tell you everything. It was that fucking mind game where if I don't tell him, it's, and then I was like, am I a bad girlfriend because I'm not sharing all these things? Like in that movie, Alice Darling, she says something along the lines of, and she's talking about her boyfriend, and she said, I began to think that he could read my mind. And that was the last place that I had to myself. That was the last place. The only thing by this point that I had that was my own were my thoughts. And he told me that I shouldn't even be thinking about anyone from my past.